How do you pronounce his father? Mufasa died, and Simba, became discouraged, and he started running around in the wilderness trying to find himself. And the monkey came, and he hit him, and he said, "I know your father." And Simba said, "What? You know my father?" You knew my father? He said, "No, I know your father." Right? So he took him to the water, and he reflected him. And what did his father say to him? What was it? Right, he said, "Do you remember?" He said, "You've forgotten me, therefore you've forgotten yourself," right? He said, "Remember who you are." And that's the thing, we've kind of forgotten who we are. One of the service that Pastor did, he talked about Abraham, right? Abraham is the father of faith. And back then, riches. So we're the seed of Abraham, right? But we forgot that. So we move forward. There was a person that came to me, this lady, it was like years ago, and I never forgot this. She was, a Caucasian lady. And she came up to me and she started telling this story about the chicken and the eagles, right? She said it was this African guy that went over to, this guy's doctor that went over to Africa, right? He was on vacation. He found this egg and he brought it back to the U.S. And he's like, "Man, I'm going to take this egg." You're familiar with the story? Right? He put it in his chicken coop, right, for the egg to hatch. When the egg hatched, this chick came out, right? So it's on the farm, and what does chicken do? They walk with their head down, right? They pick their head. So the chick started doing the same thing, walking with his head down, right? One day there was an eagle flying over the chicken coop and noticed this thing walking around with everybody. So he flew down there and he said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he said, "You know what?" He said, "I'm a chicken." He said, "No, you're not. You're an eagle." He said, "Yeah, but everybody else is doing it, so I'm doing it too." Right? That's what we do. He said, "No, you're an eagle. You're the strongest bird out there. You high up to 10,000 feet of altitude. Right? You can carry 15,000 pounds on your back." That's who we are. So once the eagle told the chick eagle who he was, then he was able to fly. Make sense? So once we find out who we really are and find out how wealthy we are within ourselves, then we can know what to do with our finances. So that's just some basic concepts. So where are we at right now? Right? What we are doing is that